Hi, I'm Mary from DIY Montreal, and today I'm going to show you how to make a drill press table. When designing this drill press table, I had three things in mind. I wanted to integrate multiple T-tracks to maximize the flexibility of using the stop blocks. At the same time, I didn't want to spend too much on hardware, so instead of buying aluminum T-tracks, I made my own, and I'll show you how I did that. But most important of all, I wanted to be able to quickly remove the table when I don't need it, and just as easily mount it back on. The dimensions of the table I made are 12 by 24 inches. I started by breaking down the plywood using various methods, starting with my circular saw and working my way down to the table saw. You'll find all the details and measurements in the written article on my website. I'll leave a link in the description below. The table base is made up of 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood. I made rabbets on the bottom side of the top pieces and then spaced them out in order to make the T-tracks. Here I'm using my router table with a straight bit, but you could also use a handheld router. I cut a rabbet along the edges of the top pieces, and the rabbet should be about 1/4 inch wide and about 1/8 deep. Again, you'll find more details on this in the written article. Once the rabbets were cut, I cut down the center top piece to the final dimensions, which includes a 2-inch removable sacrificial insert. Before pulling out the glue, you'll need some 3/8 of an inch spacers. The spacers will create the T-tracks and allow for the toilet bolts to slide freely in between the boards. I made my own spacers by cutting a strip on the table saw, then cutting it down into little pieces with my crosscut sled. I applied glue to the back of the top pieces, careful not to get any squeeze out into the channels. I clamped down the first piece, then added spacers and continued like so, remembering not to add any glue to the middle 2-inch sacrificial insert. I then laid some weights across the entire surface and let the glue dry. So I made this drill press table for a few different reasons. Number one is having added stability by having a wider work surface when I need to make holes into long boards. Number two, it helps make accurate repeat cuts. So let's say I need to make a hole in a board or 5 different boards in the same exact spot. Once I set up the fence and the stop block, I can make 5 repeated cuts in a matter of seconds. Number three, it makes for a really quick setup. With the table in place, you just need to slide your board into place, move around the fence and the stop blocks and lock them into place. It takes a couple of seconds and you're ready to go. The fence is made up of 2 strips of plywood sandwiched together. I made the fence 2 inches tall and 24 inches long, just like the table. After applying a generous amount of glue, I clamped the 2 pieces together and let it dry. Once dry, I made a dado down the middle about 3/4 of an inch wide and about 1/8 of an inch deep. Next, you'll want to add a piece of 1/4 inch plywood on top, careful not to get the glue into the dado. I again clamped it and let it dry. In order to make this into a T-track, I cut a shallow groove, raising the blade just high enough to cut through the 1/4 inch plywood. The groove should be approximately 3/8 of an inch wide, just wide enough to allow a toilet bolt to slide smoothly in the track. I cut up a bunch of 2x2 stop blocks and marked the center. I then drilled a hole through the center using a 3/8 of an inch drill bit. My drill press table would have been really useful for this. You can mount these to the fence as a stop block to make repeated cuts in the same exact spot, or mount them to the T-tracks in the table to help hold your workpiece in place. Just don't forget to add a washer before threading the star knobs. Next, you'll want to place the assembled fence on the drill press table and mark where the table's outer T-tracks meet the fence. I went back to my drill press and made a hole through the center of the fence using the same 3/8 drill bit. It's easiest to first slip the bolts into the tracks before mounting the fence. However, as you can see, my bolts were too short, so I couldn't get the knobs on. You can either buy extra long toilet bolts or simply use a Forstner bit to countersink the handles just a bit so they can reach the threads. I added a washer before tightening down the star knobs. By tightening the knobs, you lock the fence down to the table. And note that you don't have to have the fence square to the table when using this. So another thing I wanted for this drill press table is an easy way to put it on and take it off. Now I've seen a lot of makers use bolts where they'll bolt it down to the table, but for me that really wasn't practical, removing these bolts every single time. So that's why I used toggle clamps. This way I can simply snap them off. It takes me about 2 seconds. I can slide off the table when I don't need it, and then when I do need it, simply slide it back on and snap the toggles into place, and then it's really sturdy. Mounting the table with toggle clamps is super simple. I just centered the table on the drill press, then marked the edges from underneath. I lined up 2 scrap pieces of plywood with these markings, then screwed it down on each side. After that, I simply pre-drilled and mounted the toggle clamps onto these boards. Now the table can be mounted and removed in seconds with the flick of a hand. For me, this has got to be one of the best features of this table. I want to be able to remove the table when I don't need it and put it back on just as quickly. With all the available T-tracks, the table can be fitted with multiple stop blocks and it makes it super versatile. Stick around for a few extra tips and don't forget to check out the written article for full details on this build. So one piece of hardware that I didn't actually plan out, but I've actually ordered online now, are hold down clamps. So hold down clamps do exactly what they say they do. They hold down the workpiece on the table. And essentially they work in the same manner as this. They come with T-bolts and they slide into the table. But when you have a piece here, and especially when you have small pieces that you really need to hold down so that when the drill bit comes back up, it doesn't pull that off the table. I mean, right now, I can use these blocks to squeeze it into place. But, I mean, something better would be that hold down clamp, which basically has a little finger that comes up on top of this and it'll hold it down, and you just screw that down and it'll hold it down. So I actually just ordered some hold down clamps on Amazon. They're only about $8 a piece, and if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out. So I made this insert plate in the middle, which it'll get beaten up. You can drill down into it, but the good thing is you can slide it back and forth as needed, and then you can, flip it back to forth or upside down until it's completely beaten up, and then you can just replace it. So I hope you found this video to be useful, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for more DIY videos to come. And don't forget to tap the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching.